Good morning to the honorable judges, teachers, and my fellow friends. My name is Nufarsha Masara binti Abdullah from SMK Awaka Al-Bakir, AEA 3088. Today, I invite you to step back in time, not to a history lesson, but into a world of clockwork wonders, dark secrets, and the enduring power of the human heart. I am here to share my deep appreciation for a literary masterpiece, The Infernal Devices Trilogy by Cassandra Clare. Many of us have a certain perception of the fantasy genre. I used to be one of those people who found fantasy intimidating. I thought it was all about confusing maps, unpronounceable names, and magic systems that required a degree in physics to understand. I stayed away from it, thinking it was too much. However, my perspective shifted entirely the moment I opened Clockwork Angel. Cassandra Clare's The Infernal Devices is not just a series about magic. It is a human story wrapped in the aesthetic of the Victorian era. The trilogy consisting Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and the heart-wrenching Clockwork Princess, a prequel to her famous The Mortal Instrument series. The setting is London in 1878. Imagine gaslit streets, the clatter of horse-drawn carriages on cobblestone, and the thick swirling fog of the Thames. Against this backdrop, we follow Tessa Gray, a young girl from New York who travels to London in search for her brother. What she finds instead is a revelation. She is a warlock with the rare, dangerous ability to shape-shift. This discovery throws her into the clandestine world of the Shadow Hunter warriors who have served as a guardian of humanity for centuries, fighting against the demons that lurk in the unseen corners of our world. But while the clockwork automatons and the threat of the Magister provide the exterior suspense, it is the internal life of the character that makes this series a masterpiece. The reason this series has such dedicated following isn't just the action, it is the chemistry between the main trio. Consider Will Harrendale. On the surface, he is the archetype of this arrogant, sarcastic roach. He pushes people away with cruel words and devil-may-care attitude. But as the pages turn, we peel back the layers to find a boy burdened by a secret curse and a crushing fear of loving others. His journey from an isolated boy to a man who realizes that vulnerability is not a weakness is profoundly moving. Then there is James Carstairs, who is the soul of the series. Afflicted by a chronic illness that requires him to use a medicinal drug to stay alive, he possesses a quiet, serene strength. He is an anchor for both Will and Tessa. His gentleness contrasts beautifully with the chaos of Shadowhunter's life, making him a character who stays with the reader long after the book is closed. Finally, there is Tessa. She is a damsel in distress, rather an intelligent, book-loving young woman who founded her own agency in a patriarchal Victorian society. Her struggle to define who she is, especially when her own identity is shrouded in mystery, is something many of us can relate to as we navigate our own path into adulthood. What set this series apart is how it handled the concept of the love triangle. In many books, this trope can feel hollow. In The Infernal Devices, it is handled with such delicacy and tragedy that it avoids being a cliché. It explores the idea of soulmates in different forms, not just romantic love, but the Parabatai bond, a sacred lifelong brotherhood between warriors that is perhaps one of the most beautiful portrayals of friendship in modern fantasy literature. The series asks a difficult question for the mortal, because the character exists in a world where immortality is sometimes a curse and death is always a heartbeat away. The story carries a weight of maturity that forces you to reflect your own life. Do we choose a happy ending, or do we accept that sometimes the right choice is the one that causes the most pain? This series chooses the latter, and that is why it is so memorable. Is the story perfect? No. Like many epic fantasy series, it requires patience. The first half of Clockwork Angel is heavy on world building as the author introduces the Shadow Hunter hierarchy, the Clave, and the intricate lore of the Downworlders. But I urge you, persist. Once the gear of the plot begins to turn, the pacing becomes relentless. Beyond the entertainment, this series teaches us about loyalty. It shows us that courage is not the absence of fear, but decision to fight for the people we love, even when the world seems determined to tear us apart. It reminds us that friendship is the strongest weapon we possess. The Infinite Devices is a testament to the fact that fantasy is not just an escapism. It is a mirror for our own emotions and struggles. Give the series a chance. It is a beautifully written, tragic, and ultimately triumphant journey that proves that even in the world filled with demons and clockwork machines, it is the human heart that beats the loudest. Thank you for your time and for letting me share my love. This incredible story. Goodbye for now.